If you want to use Claude Code directly inside VS Code, the setup is simple, but there are a few important steps you need to get right. In this video, you will learn how to install Claude Code in Visual Studio Code, connect your Claude account, open the correct project folder, start your first session, and avoid the common mistakes that stop Claude Code from working properly. By the end, you will be able to ask Claude to read your project, explain files, suggest changes, edit code, and help you work faster without constantly switching between your browser and your editor. Number 1. What Claude Code does. Claude Code in VS Code is not just a normal chatbot window. It is an AI coding assistant that can look through your project, understand files, explain code, suggest changes, edit files, and help run development commands with your permission. The goal of this setup is simple. You want Claude available inside Visual Studio Code, so you do not need to copy code back and forth between your editor and a browser. The most important thing to understand is that Claude Code works best inside a real project folder. If you open it in a random home folder or empty folder, it will not have useful context. So the setup is not only about installing the extension. It is also about opening the correct project, signing in properly, choosing safe permissions, and testing that Claude can actually read and work with your files. Number 2. Check the requirements. Before installing anything, make sure Visual Studio Code is updated. If your VS Code version is old, the Claude Code extension may not install, may not appear, or may behave incorrectly. Next, you need an Anthropic account. This can be a Claude subscription account, a Claude console account, or an account provided by your organization. If you only install the extension but do not sign in, Claude Code will not be ready to use. Also check that you have a real project folder on your computer. It can be a Node project, Python project, website folder, or any codebase you want to work on. If you are on Windows and you plan to use the terminal version 2, having Git for Windows or WSL can make the experience smoother, because many developer commands work better in a bash-style environment. Number 3. Install the VS Code extension. Open Visual Studio Code, go to the Extensions panel and search for Claude Code. Make sure the extension is published by Anthropic. This is important because you do not want to install a random extension with a similar name. Click Install, and if VS Code asks you to trust the publisher, confirm it only after checking that the publisher is Anthropic. After installation, look for the Claude Code icon. In many VS Code layouts, it appears as a Spark icon in the activity bar, the editor toolbar, or the status area. If you do not see it immediately, open any file in your project first. Some icons only appear when a file is open. If it still does not appear, reload the VS Code window from the command palette, or close and reopen VS Code. Number 4. Install the CLI only if needed. The VS Code extension can run its own Claude Code experience inside the editor, so not everyone needs the separate terminal CLI. But if you want to type the Claude command inside the VS Code terminal, then you need the standalone Claude Code CLI as well. The safest method is to use the official Claude Code Quick Start page and copy the current install command from there, because commands can change over time. On macOS, Linux, and WSL, the native installer uses a terminal command that downloads and runs the installer. On Windows, PowerShell and Command Prompt use different commands, so do not paste a PowerShell command into Command Prompt or the other way around. A common mistake is seeing an error because the user is in the wrong shell. If the terminal says a command is not recognized, check whether you are using PowerShell, Command Prompt, WSL, or a normal Linux terminal. Number 5. Sign in correctly. After installing the extension, open the Claude Code panel in VS Code. The first time you open it, it should ask you to sign in through your browser. Complete the login, then return to VS Code. If the panel says you are not logged in, reload the VS Code window and try again. If you use an API key or environment variables, Remember that VS Code may not always inherit them from your system automatically. In that case, open your project from a terminal using the command that launches VS Code in the current folder. That helps VS Code receive the same environment variables as your terminal. For most beginners, the easiest path is simply signing in with the Claude account directly inside the extension. Number 6. Open the right folder. Before you ask Claude Code to do anything serious, open the actual project folder. In VS Code, use Open Folder, then select the folder that contains your project files. Do not start from your desktop, Downloads folder, or Home folder unless that is really where your project lives. Claude Code uses the current workspace as context, so the folder matters. If VS Code asks whether you trust the folder, only trust it if the code is yours or from a source you believe is safe. This matters because Claude Code can help run commands and modify files. For a project you downloaded from the internet, start in a safer mode. Review every change manually, and avoid auto-approving commands until you understand what the project contains. Number 7. Ask the first useful prompt. Do not begin with a huge request like, "Build my entire app." Start by asking Claude to understand the project first. A strong first prompt is, "Explain what this project does and identify the main files." Another useful prompt is, "Show me the folder structure and tell me where the app starts." This lets Claude inspect the code before editing anything. If you want Claude to focus on one file, open that file and select the relevant lines. You can also reference a file by typing the @ and choosing the file name. This is useful when you want Claude to explain a specific function, fix a specific component, or update one part of the project without touching everything else. Number 8. Make your first safe change. Once Claude understands the project, give it a small task. For example, ask it to add input validation, update a readme, fix a visible error, or create a simple route. Claude Code should show proposed file changes before applying them. Read the side-by-side diff carefully. The left side shows the current version, and the right side shows what Claude wants to change. If the edit looks correct, approve it. If it touches too many files, reject it and ask Claude to make a smaller change. You may see a permission option that allows all edits for the session. Use that only when you trust the project and the task is low risk. For beginners, manual approval is better because it teaches you what Claude is changing and prevents unwanted edits. Number 9. Test the result. After Claude changes files, do not assume everything works. Ask Claude how to test the change, or ask it to run the project's existing test command if your setup allows it. If it creates a node project, check whether the package file was created correctly and whether the install and start commands are clear. If it edits a Python project, check the virtual environment and dependency file. If it changes a web app, run the local development server and open the app in the browser. A common mistake is approving code changes but never running the app afterward. Claude can make good suggestions, but it can still misunderstand the project, use the wrong package version, or miss a hidden error. Testing is the step that turns an AI suggestion into a real working fix. Number 10. Fix common setup problems. If the extension will not install, update VS Code first. If the Claude icon is missing, open a file, check the activity bar, and reload the window. If Claude never responds, check your internet connection, sign-in status, and account limits. If the terminal says the Claude command does not exist, the CLI is probably not installed, or the terminal was opened before the install updated your system path. Close the terminal and open a new one. If you are on Windows and the install command fails, confirm whether you are using PowerShell, Command Prompt, or WSL, because each one expects different syntax. If Claude makes too many changes, switch back to manual approval or plan mode. For daily use, keep prompts specific, work in small steps, review diffs, test after every important edit, and keep a git commit or backup before asking Claude to change a large part of the codebase.